How's it going, everyone? My name is Resist, and as of the release of this video, there's been a patch with a huge number of changes to Naraka Bladepoint. So I just wanted to do a quick review of the important stuff on the patch notes so that you guys know what's being changed and what to expect. So with that out of the way, let's get straight into it. First things first, for some quality of life changes, they've added a new feature to the report function to help report teaming called improper party making. This is a nice addition, assuming the devs actually take action on the reports, as there's been a lot of teaming going on in the higher rank lobbies. Hopefully this cracks down on that a bit. Another quality of life change that they're making is the ability to rebind the Moonbane Chime. Currently it's bound by default to the Z key, which while I personally have no issues using, I've seen a decent amount of people asking for the ability to be able to rebind it, as currently Naraka limits the ability to rebind certain keys for some reason. Hopefully they make some more changes in the future to adjust other binds, as in my opinion there isn't really much of a reason to not be able to choose your own keybinds. For cosmetics coming out, we have a new Yoto Hime skin called the Ceremonial Blade, along with a new greatsword skin called the Cursed Sakura. This can be obtained in a bundle or individually through gold. Next up, we're going to go straight into the juicy stuff which you guys all came here for, the changes to the heroes. First up, we have Tembal. Tembal's F ability, Zephyr Wisp, can now be used when under attack. However, each variation of it, including the default one, has an increased cooldown. This should boost Tembal's survivability and getaway chances in solos, while the increased cooldown should keep his strength in trios similar to where it is now. The Zephyr Wisp is also now able to block cannon and swarm projectiles too, which is just a little bit more icing on the cake for Tembal. Next up we have Tarka G, where much like Tembal, his F ability Inner Fire is now able to block cannon and swarm projectiles, as is sprinting under the effect of his ult. If you're a Fireball user, then today's your lucky day as well, as the rage cost of Fireball spam during his ult has been decreased. They've also increased the speed of follow-up attacks with Tarka's F ability Inner Fire, hopefully letting you get a bit more damage in after successfully landing a counterattack. While none of these are game-changing buffs for Tarka, he has received slight buffs overall. For Kurumi, we have changes that are only affecting the solo game mode. I repeat, they are only affecting solos. In trios, Kurumi is receiving 0 changes. However, in solos, the devs say she's been overperforming a bit, so they've nerfed the healing of Binding Prayer, which is her F ability, from 500 to 350, and decreased the healing received by her ultimate, Sacred Circle, and the armor variation, from 300 to 200. It might just be my opinion, but I never really found Kurumi's self-healing to be too overbearing, so I don't really see how she could have been overperforming, but nonetheless, Kurumi should be a bit easier to kill now. Now we have everybody's favorite monk, or least favorite depending on who you ask, Tianhai. Tianhai has received some slight changes to his ultimate that include both a buff and a nerf. To hopefully reduce his oppressiveness, they've reduced his health a bit in both solos and trios, however they've also lowered the multiplier that hitting the Titan's weak spot gives to 1.5 rather than 2, making it so monk players that happen to RNG a leg weak spot don't just get instantly cheesed by 3 people smacking their leg. Whether this actually balances Tianhai's ult out will still have to be seen, as the damage multiplier being lowered sort of negates the HP change in my opinion, so I'll have to see how it feels in game. Next up, we have Yoto Hime, the hero that Reddit loves to cry about. This may be an unpopular opinion, but I actually don't think Yoto was ever that overtuned previously, and in fact I think she was pretty weak, as her kit is pretty much pure offense. Her pick rate in the higher ranks is actually pretty low as well. That being said, I do know a lot of people think she was overpowered and quite oppressive, so she is receiving a decent amount of changes. The damage her F ability does is being cut in half from 300% to 150%. This is quite the large percent change, however the damage her F ability actually does is already quite low, so this doesn't really change much, as most of the power from her F comes from the ability to chain combos off of it. Another change her F ability is receiving is how the cooldown reset of it works. Before this patch, if you killed somebody with Spirit Slash, the cooldown resets, allowing you to use it again, but you had to kill them with the F ability directly. They've changed it to now say that killing the opponent in any way with Spirit Slash resets its cooldown, which makes me believe, at least, that if you use Spirit Slash on an opponent recently and then kill them afterwards, the cooldown will reset. This change actually could increase Yoto's mobility a decent amount, giving her a better chance to get away if it works the way I think it does. However, that'll have to wait to be seen. And the last of the changes for Yoto's F ability is a bit more of a quality of life change, as instead of blue focus when using the slash attack, you now have gold focus armor. Still on the topic of Yoto Hime though, we do have a couple changes to her ultimate. First up is the reduced stagger after being hit by it. I know one of the main things a lot of players complained about was not being able to get away from Yoto's ultimate once hit, so this should help in that regard. However, it also says that the backswing and the front swing time is reduced on all variants of her ult, which I can only assume means the attack comes out faster and resets a bit faster as well. So we will need to see how these two changes interact when put together. The last change for Yoto's ultimate is yet again more of a quality of life change, however this one's actually quite nice. Prior to this, just activating her ult consumes 70% of her rage and each attack 10% afterwards, meaning if you cancelled early, you spent at least 70% of your rage no matter what. This has been changed to now only consume 25% on activation, but increase to 25% on each attack afterwards, meaning that if you cancel your ultimate earlier, you can potentially save much more rage. Onto Matari, the hero that everyone in high rank uses as she's the queen of safety. At the moment, her ultimate resets all charges of Matari's F ability when using the variant that has 2 dashes. This is being changed to now only reset 1 charge, granting Matari a total of 3 rapid dashes rather than 4. This is a slight nerf, but in all honesty, 1 less dash isn't really going to change all that much in the grand scheme of things. Matari is still the best hero if you're looking for a hero that has the ability to get away and play safe. That's all we have for changes in regards to heroes. However, there are quite a few different changes happening to weapons and soul jades that I'd like to quickly gloss over as well. But I'd also like to take the time real quick to thank everybody who's still watching at this point. And if you think this video is useful or helpful at all, please hit that like and subscribe button as it helps me out a ton. But back to the weapon changes. So first, the damage done by uppercuts has been increased for every single melee weapon in the game. The percent change varies per weapon, so I just pause here if needed if you'd like to look, but it should be noted in my opinion that the majority of strong combos in Naraka at the moment are based off of uppercuts or incorporate them in some way, so this just makes pretty much every one of those combos even stronger. The next big change to weapons is the Dagger. This is one that everybody knew was coming, as the Dagger was extremely overtuned beforehand with extremely high damage combined with extremely high mobility, along with almost infinite blue and golden focus armor. The damage for both focus attack types have been lowered, and the mobility and safety net granted by using Dagger Dash for mobility has been lowered as well. You can't Dagger Dash in quick succession any longer, and the iframes granted have been reduced along with an increased energy cost to even Dagger Dash to begin with. On top of lowering the damage for each focus attacks, the attack speed of the Dagger's combos have been slightly lowered along with some other optimizations to Dagger combos that I'll show here, as I can't really infer to what optimized attack really means in regards to changes made. As mentioned before, the ability to Dagger Dash around for mobility was extremely strong prior to this, so they are also lowering the Dagger Dash energy cost reduction gained from each glyph if you use them. But remember that only the Dagger Dash energy is being affected by this nerf, not the normal dash energy reduction. Similar to certain Dagger combos, there have also been some optimizations to both Greatsword and Katana combos. For care package items, or items that come from Morris's Blessing, there are both changes to Blood Ripper and the Swarm. The Blood Ripper is being nerfed as it has an increased charge time and now will not attack at all until the charge up is completed. The Blood Ripper now also has its own focus color since it's unable to be parried when charged up. The Swarm changes were noted earlier as being able to be blocked by certain hero abilities like Tarka's F and Timok's F ability. As for the Soul Jades, there's quite a few changes, so I'm just going to go over them quickly in groups and show the information on the screen. There's 2 new Dagger Soul Jades, one is called Nether Step, the other is called Assassin's Lunge. We will have to wait and see what the effects of these are. Melee resist Soul Jades have been nerfed across the board, along with the cap total to melee resist. Swift heal has been temporarily removed as the devs want to rebalance it. Legendary Cannon Soul Jades have some adjusted damage numbers, and Twin Shot should no longer decrease weapon durability twice as fast, along with some other minor changes to detonating rounds for the pistol and Whirlwind Soul Jade for the longsword. There are also a few changes directly related to in-game combat or other mechanics being made. One of them being that downed players can now get up immediately to attack or use skills once the stagger they are in ends. I'll have to wait and see how this works out in game, but this could mean it's much harder to initiate a tech chase on an enemy since they are able to get back up and react much faster now. There are two other major changes being made in my opinion, and one of them is the nerf to scale rushes. Currently, scale rushing is one of the best ways to get away from an opponent, while also preventing yourself from being grapple spammed and hit stunned. With these changes, you no longer gain the focus armor while charging a skill rush, making it so you can potentially be locked down much easier when trying to get away. The other major change is the fact that you can no longer use healing items while climbing. You need to stay still, which means it'll now be much easier to get picked off as many players currently climb trees and go in circles if necessary to avoid the opponent while healing. So that right there is the majority of the major changes coming in Naraka Bladepoint's latest patch. If you found this video useful at all, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button to stay up to date with future content, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.